All right. Let's go ahead and get this call started. I want to go ahead and it's 8:05, and tonight we're going to bring on again a guest that we've been having, who started an amazing series, really, for many that are hopping on for the very first time. I want to go ahead and I want to welcome every single one of you onto tonight's mindset call. We have a very special guest. Someone who I've had the honor and the pleasure of being able to meet and connect with over these past couple of years, and who I've had the honor of also being able to learn from. This is someone based out of in Australia, someone who has been with the company for quite a long time, who brings a lot of veteran experience and a lot of veteran leadership to our organization. Someone who leads with the absolute most genuine intentions. And I believe that in life, when it comes to the people that we want to learn from, and when it comes to the people that we want to have in our lives, we want to have people who have the best intentions, especially for us. And so this is someone who has one of the biggest hearts, for not only serving us, within this chat, because of the fact that she's on this call with us tonight, but she truly has the desire to be able to serve and move humanity forward. And so that's just something that I've grown to absolutely love, respect, and admire about this individual. She has one of the biggest hearts. She leads with a purest of intentions. And like I said, at the end of the day, when it comes to the people in our corner, we want people who have the best intentions. So she's going to come on and she's going to continue tonight. Okay, and she's going to be able to pour into each and every single one of you. If you're on for the first time, she's going to be able to pour into you and really dig deep about the idea of really understanding and identifying your identity. Okay, and so much of this journey, so much of your journey on your way to success and personal greatness is going to come down to discovering who you really are. And knowing who you are at the deepest level. Because when you can understand that, when you know who you are, what you stand for, right, and what it is that drives you at the very core level, then you can truly understand your capability as a human being, and you can truly put yourself in a position, okay, to move towards your highest potential. So it's with great honor for me to be able to bring on someone who I have the world of respect for, the world of love for, and who I've been able to have truly experience a better quality of life since she has been in my life. So with that being said, I have the honor of bringing up the one and only, the beautiful Miss Sarah Plumpton. Esther, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me go well?
Take it away.
I always get nervous when I do these calls. Like, doesn't matter how many times I do them, which is obviously weekly, but I still, like, my heart right now is pounding. Whew. But this is my passion and I absolutely love it. And Hari, thank you so much. I want to throw it back to you there, and always love doing these calls with you and for your people. None of these names are really familiar with me except a couple. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys for getting on this call and, having trust in someone you don't even know to teach you some things that can really change your life. Okay, so in part one, of your identity, we went over a lot of things, right? So tonight's call is going to go for a good part of the hour. I'm bringing on an actual, a special guest as well after me, and your minds, guys, your mind is going to be absolutely blown. How we met is actually a really cool story as well, but also what this man does. Let me just make sure everyone is muted. I'll call you out if you're not. That was you, Robert. All right. I'll bring my dear friend on after I've shared with you this little bit. But, you know, in the big scheme of things, what we're going over really is just the tip of the iceberg, okay, that this topic of identity really covers. But we want to keep it simple for you. We want to keep it so simple that you can take everything that you're learning here, and we want to blow your damn mind, okay? But we want to make it so simple that you can actually apply this stuff. That is actually going to change your life, okay? So we talked about a lot of things on part one. If you haven't got part one, I will send you the recording because it is something that you'll probably have to watch over and over and over again, okay? So we talked about how, a lot of the things, how we are, our beliefs, how we act is learned before the ages of 7, okay? Plus many things beyond that. But just as a subtle reminder for part one, you are not responsible for the programming that you received as a child, okay? But you are 100% responsible as an adult, a fully functioning adult, for fixing it, all right? So self-mastery really is something that we should all be practicing, and I know all of you on this call does already do that via personal development, etc. But when one does not know themselves at a core identity level, they become lost in this, haze of, for the better word of it, social conformity and codependency. And this then leads to things like negative self-talk, no self-respect, no self-love, and a mind sick, absolutely sick with programs of disempowerment, right? So, but when one chooses to abandon the shallowness of society, that is ultimately diseased with a limited consciousness, a restoration of inner peace can begin, okay? So self-mastery emerges when the mind has been reclaimed, and the inner work of changing who we are at an identity level then starts to take hold, okay? So today, I need to see a 333, and the reason I chose the numbers 333 is because of the last, I reckon, 3 years, every single day, I see the numbers 333. And if you want to look that up in numerology, that is literally mind, body, spirit. Okay, and I see those, and that to me is just telling me that I'm not in alignment, all right? I see it every damn day. So I'm working on that too. But I want to see a 333 in this chat. If you guys are sick of your own excuses, you're sick of your current beliefs and your bullshit stories that are keeping you from playing big, okay, that they are keeping you playing small, right? I want to see a 333 if you are ready, willing, and committed to put the work in and change. Because this is going to take work, right? This is not a get on a call once, you're fixed. This is going to be months and months and months, years even, for you to become your best self, all right? So today I'm going to be talking to you more about your identity, but more so how to rewrite the stories to create your new identity, all right? So to rewrite your story, the first place you must start from is the place of life is good. Okay, you must live from the place that everything happens to me and it's happening for my highest good. All right, so perspective really is everything. And most people live their lives with the thought of, I'll be happy when this happens or when that happens. Okay, but you need to be living from the now, and you need to be living from the space of life is good now. Okay, so every single story is a series of thoughts. And every story that you tell, doesn't matter what it is, say the story is, I don't have any money, I'm so broke right now, I can't afford this. So the story you're telling, essentially the story that you're telling is, I don't have money. Then that snowballs into, I can't afford my rent, I can't afford food, I can't afford my bills this month, I can't afford my IML membership, I can't afford to fund my trading account. Okay, I can't pay, I can't do this. All right, all of that started from a single story, from a single thought. So this is why it is so crucial that you watch your thoughts, because as that little quote says, that we see it all the time, your thoughts become your reality, okay? And because of your thoughts, they form the stories that you tell yourself. And these stories is where you live your life from. So everything you have in your life, everything you don't have in life is a complete direct result of the stories that you tell yourself. You tell yourself stories about money, about business, about your trading, about relationships, about your health, okay, about how hard life is or how easy life is. And you live from those stories as if it's true. Yet these stories are just simply made up in your mind, okay? It's basically a fairy tale or a horror story, and you are the director, right? So guys, I really need you to get a grip of this. This is easy to understand. When you realize that your life, all it is a simple series of stories that you live from, okay? Life then becomes really powerful because you then recognize that you have the absolute ability to write your own, all right? So when you were living your life, it's your stories that talk you into doing things, okay? Or it's your stories that talk you out of doing things. I need you all to take a really good hard look at every aspect of your life, health, fitness. What do you tell yourself about working out, okay? Relationships. You know, my best friend Laura, the other week got her hair done, but we have the same hairdresser, right? And they were talking about my love life. And Taylor, our hairdresser, says, you know, I'm really worried about her because she's been so unlucky in love. Okay, and I literally laughed at that when she told me at the thought of that, and I don't see that at all. Okay, but that's not the story I think. You know, my story for that, you know, relationship situation is every relationship, every encounter I have is teaching me something about myself that I need to learn, and it is preparing me with all the lessons that I need for the person I am to be with. Okay, two totally different stories about the one subject, one positive, one negative. Okay, that's just an example. What do you guys tell yourself about your trading? Are you constantly telling yourself that I don't understand this? I don't know enough to talk to anyone about it. I don't know if it's for me because it's taking me a while to pick it up. What are you telling yourself about the business? Okay, are you saying to yourself, I keep getting no's. No one is joining me. You know, no one ever replies to me. I'm not a salesperson. I can't sell. That's not who I am. Well, let me tell you, okay, all these things that you tell yourself about every single aspect of your life is the story that you are creating and therefore living. So how effective do you think you're going to be if these stories that you're telling yourself are stories like that? So these stories are taking us to where we want to be, or they are holding us back and keeping us on the hamster wheel, and we're never getting any progress. You know, we're not gaining any traction. We're not gaining any ground. Therefore, we're not moving forward. We're staying stagnant and we're wondering why. Okay, so how do we write a new story? So when you get off this call, I need you guys to write this down, okay? I need you to write out the stories that you currently tell yourself. Not the story you think you tell yourself, as in the one that you want to be living. You know, that comes later. But I need you to get really, really, really clear and write out the stories that you tell yourself the stories that are giving you the results that you currently have, okay? Or lack of results, okay, that you have in life right now. Then I need you to sit with that. I need you to take your time because, like I said before, like this is going to take months of hard work. But yeah, I need you to sit with the thoughts that you tell yourself. Okay, I need to take your time, really think about it. I need you to write it out. The story of your life, of what, you know, now I need you to move on to how you do want it. And that is, you know, the story of your life, of what it would be like if you already had all that it is that you want. All right. So it is crazy important to do this. So invest the time into it. You have to know the story of the person that has everything you want. So on part one's call, we went over that little triangle picture. Okay. The logical level, I think Clinton called it. I'm pretty sure he's going to touch on that when I bring him on. But now that you've told yourself about, you know, change in identity, have you told yourself things like when you're going through the motions of, you know, this whole triangle thing, and you really need to watch part one again if this is not making sense to you, if you're brand new on this one. But have you told yourself things like, you know, it's really hard to change. Every time I get ahead, I get knocked back. I'm doing everything they told me to do, but it's just not working for me. I'm not going to trade anymore because I keep losing money. Okay, these are all stories. So going back to that triangle, our identity creates our stories. So if I want to transform my identity, what new stories would I have to tell myself? Because your old stories are no longer serving you. Your old stories are no longer, or actually they weren't, they're not going to progress you, okay? So you need new ones. So these new stories is then going to spill over and affect your beliefs, okay? Then that is going to affect your capabilities. that is going to affect then your behavior, and that is then going to affect your environment, which is your external outcome, your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Okay? So to rewrite, you must live from the story, not to the story. Okay? So to get anywhere in life, the one thing you need, we need multiple, but the one thing in this instance is commitment, and most people suck at it. Okay? They have fears of commitment, and whatever issue that is for you, you need to sit with that and you need to work that out. But you need to ask yourself, what is the story? What is my story? What is your story on commitment? Okay? Do you often start things and never finish them? Okay? Do you often start a diet and then, muck up one day, then the next week it's still the same muck up? Like, how often do you start things and never finish them? Are you afraid of commitment because of something? Okay? Are commitments really easy for you to keep, or are they really hard for you to keep? So commitment is the bridge between A to B. Okay? It's what's going to get you from where you are to where you need and where you want to be. All right, so I've got a couple of questions for you. What would the identity of someone who moves through fears be? Okay, so the reason I ask that is because most people are held back in life because of irrational fears based on stories they've made up. All right, so they are allowing themselves to be controlled by something that's not even real. So a question you can ask yourself is, what would the identity of someone who is successful in IML be? Pick someone. I'll pick Jason Brown for the sake of it. What is his identity of being? He's a chairman 500. What are his characteristics of being? Is it commitment, honesty, self-integrity, the ability to paint a vision for himself and our company? Is he ethical? Does he have morals? Absolutely he does. Okay, so what would the identity of someone who you fill that blank in? All right, you answer the question with someone who has something that you want or something that you want to create. Okay, so your biggest fears aren't you. They are the identity of you. They are the things you identify with which then in turn dictate your behavior. All right, so a couple more questions for you. And that's, who would I be? How would I feel? And what would I do if I already had? Now I need you to turn those, who would I be? How would I feel? What would I do if I already had, into a story? All right, so pick something that you're aiming for. Pick something that you really want, that you want to create. You need to hold that in your mind, and you need to ask yourself, who would I be? Meaning, am I confident? And am I bold? Am I powerful? Am I relentless? Or am I afraid? What way would you be as a leader? So that way, when you're writing your story, that's how you can tell yourself about who you'll be being. That sounds confusing. And then, how would I feel? Would you feel empowered? Would you feel strong? Would you feel capable? Would you feel unstoppable? And then what would you do? What would you physically do? Now, referring that back to probably the most important part of part one, and that's the have, do, be, the be, do, have that we went over. Most people start from the doing first, not the being. They then start doing all these things that they think they need to do to become successful. But I'm really, really, really hoping that, after my 100 posts, after my part one call, after this call, that you all are starting to realize that your doing comes from your identity. So you need to stop trying to do your way to success and start by being successful, okay? And that all starts with the stories in your mind, all right? So when you repeat these stories, it's going to become a lot easier to create the things that you want, because you will start to believe these stories are now true. And then you need to move on to, what would I do if I had? Insert the outcome that you want. Okay, so start from living from this story. So your stories should always be ways of being. How do you want to be different starting right now? I asked you that earlier, and I'll ask it again because repetition is the mother of all. Okay, so what identity would someone who has exactly what you want in life have? Write that down. Okay, it's a very powerful question. I have some final questions for you that I need you to be writing down. Okay, sit with it, answer, reflect, And then I'm going to be bringing on my special guest, and I'm really excited for it. So those who are serious about changing their lives, changing their identity at a core level, who really want to understand this, you'll be writing these down, okay? Because this is what has changed my life around in the last 6 weeks. I got goosebumps and my eyes are like welling up thinking about how much shit I've shifted, okay? So those who aren't, well, this, committed to doing that, then this topic of identity is also very fitting for you. So if the shoe fits, I say wear it. But take this stuff seriously and your life will change. So the questions I want to ask you is, who am I? So when you answer this, I need you to leave the external titles out of it, okay? I don't care if you're married, single, broke, rich, black, white, purple, yellow, green, overweight, fit, strong, you're a lawyer, you're a plumber. I don't care what they are. They're just titles and things that you want to put on yourself, okay? They're external. I want to know who you are. I bet most of you don't even know, okay? So who are you at the very core? Because you are so much more than the titles that you put on yourself, all right? The next question is, what are my capabilities? We all hear from the motivational speakers, live your potential. You're not living your potential, blah, 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 blah. While that sounds really nice and motivating, people don't know how to do that because it's not in their identity, okay? And this is where the personal development industry and the, motivational speakers really fail, because yes, they're great at motivating, but there's no how-tos, okay? And the how-tos is all in your identity, okay? If you've never been living in your potential, you don't know how to do that, okay? So here's what you need to understand. You will live to your identity, not your potential, all right? So we see potential in people all the time. We say it to them all the time. Example, friggin' Ho, I just call him Ho, is so damn talented at what he does. He could literally charge so much for his work. He's easily one of the best graphic designers I've ever seen. And I am so genuine when I say that. That is a genuine example, okay? But if Ho doesn't see that for himself, then he never will. And I can be frustrated as a friend and be like, you couldn't be doing so much with this, okay? But, and this is where we get frustrated with other people too, because we see the potential, but if they don't see it, then they're never going to do it. Okay, we know they can do it because we see it in them. But until they see it and until they feel it and until they believe it, it will never, ever, ever be a reality for them. Therefore, they will never be living to their potential, so to speak. Okay, you will continue to live at the level of your identity. All right, so my next question is, where is your identity relative to your potential? So what do you want, or what will you create in this world? Okay, we treat ourselves how we perceive ourselves. So how do you perceive yourself? Because that's going to be how you treat yourself, which brings me back to a status I made yesterday about what you allow for yourself is what you will get in return, regardless of what you actually desire. So do you treat your body with respect? Okay, are you feeding yourself nourishing foods and working out? Or are you disrespecting your home, okay, by overeating, by eating too much of the wrong foods? Are you drinking too much? Okay, are you taking too many drugs? Too many. Are you taking drugs is what I should have asked. What are you doing to yourself that is ultimately sabotaging your life? Okay, these examples would come from an identity with beliefs and stories of unworthiness, not lovable. Just an example, okay? So how you treat yourself is how you perceive yourself, and how you perceive yourself is your unconscious identity. So my final question to you all is, will my life be rich? Okay, so obviously rich can be defined in whatever way you want. But I think the one thing we can all agree on this call is that we are all in the search and the hunt for freedom. Okay, we all have that in common. And that is time freedom, and that is financial freedom. Okay, we are working so hard for that next level of life. So that all comes back down to what? That all comes back down to your identity, of course. So whatever value you have and believe yourself to be is what you will show up every day into the world with. So if you believe yourself to be of low value, you will go out and you will give low value. You will give just enough, okay? You in turn will then receive low value. If you increase your value of yourself, everything goes up, okay? When you do that, your value in your work will go up. You will be seen as someone with a high value, okay? You can then charge what you want. You can charge your worth, all right? You will create your life based upon the value that you hold for yourself at an identity level. Okay, so remember in part 1, we talked about can I ever say this word? Disintegration. Disintegration. I think that's the one. Anxiety. Okay. I wanted to touch on this again because it is so important to remember, because as you begin to change, as you begin your new journey, what happens is your old identity starts disintegrating. Well, I say it better when I don't think about it. And it puts our bodies in a state of anxiety. Okay, so when we start creating change, we start to lose a part of our current identity. And because we start losing a part of our current identity, who we are at a core level, many times, pretty much all the times, that's when we get anxious. Okay, and the reason we feel that is because us as humans, we really love predictability. Okay, we really love what is going to happen next. And what our body starts to do is it starts to get anxious. It starts to get nervous. Okay, your old identity is disintegrating. Okay, so when you hit that spot, that feeling of anxiousness, of resistance, okay, you need to recognize that all it is unconscious resistance. It's a resistance to change via our subconscious. All right, so it's typically because our subconscious is constantly scanning for safety. So who we are, who we have been, is being challenged by our new goal. So our critter brain is basically saying, no, this is unsafe. We need to abort this. And it's always going to override the intellect and the conscious side of things. Okay, so you just need to keep pushing and keep moving through that resistance and that fear, because like I said before, fear is just a story you made up. Okay, you now have a belief around that, and then you tell yourself a story that you're actually scared of that when you're not. So guys, I need you to understand that your outcomes are a lagging measure of your habits. All right, your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. So your health, your weight, I know I talk about body and stuff in that, but it's all part of it. Okay, it is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning habits. You get what you repeat. So you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fail to the level of your systems. All right. And I think we can all agree again that pain is ultimately the greatest motivator. All right. I know a lot of you on this call are experiencing some pain in all kinds of ways. All right. But most people just live life tolerating it. Okay. And people don't change until they realize that staying the same becomes so unbearable that they are forced to change. And eventually, after experiencing enough stress, enough pain, enough heartache, enough sadness, enough drama that you've essentially all created on your own, this is no one else's fault but your own, you then decide to step up. You then decide to take action. And action is the foundational key to all success. Okay, so what are you guys going to be doing to move forward? Yes, change is hard, but if you're able to not give a fuck about the pain of change, the pain that's required for you to go through to reach your goals, then you will become unstoppable and you will literally achieve everything you ever wanted. All right, so I want you all tonight, before you go to sleep, as I know it's getting late over there, I want you all to sit down. I want you to put your phone away. I want you to sit with yourself. I want you to pray. I want you to talk to the universe, whatever it is that you speak to, whatever you want to call it. Daniel. I want you to sit down. I want you to speak to the universe. I want you to speak to whoever it is that you talk to. And I want you to tell him, I want you to tell her that you are ready to grow. All right. I want you to tell them that you are ready to shed all the beliefs, all the stories that you've created that are no longer serving you. I want you to tell them that you are ready to be used as a vessel for the greater good of all. Ask that you be made uncomfortable every single day, so it forces you to grow, and it forces you outside of the box that's keeping you playing small, that's keeping you enclosed. Okay? Ask her, him, to teach you to how to be silent, to let go, and to really just surrender. Okay? Teach you how to stand your ground and for what you truly, truly believe in. Okay? So when I say what you truly believe in, I mean not the beliefs others made you believe. Okay? Ask to be taught how to be more understanding and to be, more compassionate, how to be more assertive, loving, and forgiving, and to take everything that you know and everything that you're learning and apply it so you can live this one life of yours to the absolute best you can. Okay, I'll slow down there because I'm getting emotional, because I am so passionate about this and what it can do for you, and I want the best for all of you. Okay, I am now going to hand the phone over to one of my best mates. He's one of my traders, and how we met, I'll let Clinton tell that story. It's a pretty cool story, but he was actually one of the crew. Actually, I won't tell that story. I'll let him tell that story. But basically, this man is incredible. He's quickly become a mentor for me, even though he's one of my students in the trading world. Clinton is most certainly a change agent. He has a massive purpose in life, and it's all based around inspiring and empowering people to be the absolute best they can. From a little kid, he has always wanted to help people, and he's led. So he's a chiropractor. Okay, so if you understand the principles of chiropractic, which you probably don't, it is a very interesting way of being their teachings. But basically, everything in his life has led him to being a chiropractor, which saved him from being in a wheelchair. So his story is quite incredible. But he's, loves helping people. He's on a massive mission. He's been studying personal transformation for over 25 years. He's just launched The Awakened Man, which is basically an experimental retreat, and Awakened Woman will be launched soon. I'm very excited for that. I can't wait to join that one. But these are based in Australia and soon to be worldwide by 2020, I believe. But trading fits him and his personality and, everything about his values of life, values of freedom and, personal development and everything like that. So it all marries into one, trading to create freedom, for him to work in his workshops, to, inspire others to do chiropractic missions around the world. I'm excited. He's going to be going over topics like, obviously what we've just been talking about, identity, but how you control your thoughts, the hierarchy of being, death, affirmations, and how to use them properly, because I know you all use affirmations, but stories, perceptions, silence, right and left brain, self-hypnosis, mirror work, and things like that. So without further ado, Clinton, I'm going to unmute you. Are you there? And can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Thanks, SJ. Hear me loud and clear?
Got you good. I'm going to mute myself, but take it over.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for such an introduction. And, like I'm mentoring you, you're mentoring me, and it's the conversations we have are pretty deep, and diving down that rabbit hole is a lot of fun, but it's also pretty scary as well. So, thanks for giving me the opportunity to jump on and to share the Zoom call with you. And talk about the power of intention first. And this is just for everyone how SJ and I met. I was crewing on a personal development workshop, but not on the one that SJ went and did. And I've been doing that for about 10 years. And whenever someone completes, I never, you get a lot of friend requests and all that stuff. And I never accept friend requests from people that I don't know through the workshops until I meet them. So SJ in her promotion of her business sent a friend request, and I looked and I'm going, oh, who's this person? And I looked up and I knew that she'd done the workshops. So it was really interesting because for some reason I go very intuition based, and for some reason I thought, right, I need to accept this friend request, but I didn't know how. So take a backstory of a couple of days. I had sat down, so this is a year ago, I'd sat down and gone, I really want to get back into learning trading. I really want to get to learning the foreign exchange. I really want to get back into doing something like that because I was always interested in it. And I'd set the intention that I was going to find a mentor and someone who was going to help me. And within 48 hours, this friend request comes from SJ. So intentionally and from my gut, I accepted the friend request. And I sent her a message and said, hey, congratulations on the workshop, and hope all's the best, and look forward to meeting you on the next one. And it was the next morning that the very first post that I see from SJ is all about trading. and I laughed, and I just sent her a message. I said, now I know why I accepted the friend request, and I passed on the messages as to how that came about. But it's all about the power of intention, and this comes down to identity as well. So the power of intention for me is going, what are you really setting your thoughts about? And I'm sure all of you here have had something where it may be little or it may be big, where you look and go, I really want this to happen, or you just have this hit that it's going to happen. So, and then all of a sudden within hours or minutes, exactly what you're asking for happens and falls apart. And sometimes those things are really big. And when you look at it, what you're doing is you're opening yourself to that part of your identity that's connected to the big picture of the universal matter. So if you want to call God, universe, great spirit, you have opened those pathways, and the universe is there to help you achieve things. I know that you hear a lot of people say that the universe is there to challenge you. It's actually not. It's there to give you what you ask it. And if you are asking for challenges, it will continue to give you challenges. So even saying things like, I'm really close to my goal, and the closer I get to my goal, the more challenges the universe is going to throw at me. Well, yeah, the more challenges the universe is going to throw at me because you're asking it to throw at you. So this boils right down to go into what you're thinking and how you're thinking. And one of the two key things that I'll start off with now is going, the problem's not what you think, it's how you think, right? So it's not what you're thinking, it's the subconscious beliefs of how you are thinking and then how you're going about that thinking. And I said last time in a couple of weeks, in the couple of minutes that I shared, and if you've got a pen to write down this, it's gone, you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts. So if you weren't on that last week, or write it down again, you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts. So what I expanded on was that we're all divine beings, and we have thoughts. I'm going to use angry. So when someone goes, oh God, I'm angry, right? What actually happened to start with was you're a divine being. You started thinking angry thoughts. As a result of thinking angry thoughts, you then had feelings of anger, which then you projected onto yourself, to others, on a phone call or whatever. But the great thing is, and so it's the same thing, is I'm happy. Right? When we get into things like judgment and happy, we never actually stand back and go, well, how do I become happy? Right? You are the same thing. You're not your thoughts, you're the thinker of your thoughts. So you actually, a divine being, you thought happy thoughts, you felt those emotions in your body, and you go, oh, I'm a happy person. So the context of this is going, you actually have full control over every thought you have. And that's really, really confronting, because a lot of the time people go, no, I don't have any control over these thoughts. But if you go back to that statement I said about you are not your thoughts, it's actually allowing you to detach from your thoughts, which is really, really important, to then actually look and go, why am I now thinking those thoughts? And as a result of thinking those thoughts, these are the emotions that are coming up, and that's the response and the reaction. So just remember, you have control over every thought. And if you accept that and you go, well, okay, I got angry thoughts, fuck it, I'm still going to be angry, then the control is you've allowed that to happen, and now you're allowing yourself to stay angry when you can actually step back and go, hey, hang on, that was only a thought. I can step back from that and I can change that. And when you start getting really clear on that, you can change things very, very fast. All right? Esther, if you want to jump in, just jump in as well while I was looking at if you want to add anything. So this it's really, really full on. So, and as SJ said a couple of weeks ago, I'm diving right into the rabbit hole on this, and I'm going really, really deep and doing some pretty full-on work at the moment. But I just want to share the hierarchy of being of what we're doing. There's three hierarchies of being. The highest one is number one, and that's the mind, right? And that explanation is getting to a level of saying you are part of it all, right? So it's not, you're part of the universe. You know, energy is matter. We are matter. When we die, we actually don't really die. We just transpose and turn into some other sort of matter. This is getting into the big stuff. The second one is the conscious level, right? And that's where you start realizing that I'm a conscious being, right? And there's a lot of people out there that don't understand that. And the third and the lowest level is thought. Now, so thought is where most people live here, and we're talking, 90%, 95% of people live in this area. And the thought is things like, I've got to pay taxes, I've got work to do, I live in a terrible house, and it's the lowest level. So we want to take that level and jump to the next level. But when you get up to understanding that the mind, and we're all a big part of everything, then things start happening at a magical level. Right? So everything is mental. And SJ said about it before about being. One of the things that she said was about the be, do, and have, do, and be. And she set an exercise for you. So I'm going to expand on this. If you have troubles in saying, okay, how can I transfer that and flip it around, then write it out as you said, hey, I'm going to earn $1 million a year, I'm going to do these things, and then I will be happy, committed, successful, and those things. So write it out that way if you're really challenged, but then stop, look at the being, and then you've actually given yourself the answers to then what you need to start being like instantly. Right? Does that make sense? Everyone put a yes or something on the box. So if you're struggling with that, because sometimes people go, I don't know what to be, I don't know what to be, I don't know what to be. So do it the normal way, but then stop and then start living from that area. And this is the one thing, if you think about it, happiness is a state of being. And that's the thing is that, little babies are born happy. You're not born with habits, you learn them. So be happy every single day. So some of the things that I say is be happy every single day. Be happy that you've got a roof over your head. Even if you can't pay this and pay that and pay and do all these sort of things, be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you're breathing. Be happy that you may have the ability to see. This is also getting into gratitude, to taste, to taste the food. You've got food on your plate. You've got a roof over your head. If you start from the lowest levels of being, you're going to create more and more of that. Right? So, people go, oh, money's going to make a happy life. No, happiness will make money, right? Money doesn't make happiness. Happiness will make money. So if you start going from that lowest level of being, so if you're not sure which one to start with happy, start with peace, start with gratitude, and start building from there. Because I'm sure that you speak to a lot of the successful leaders in the IML community. They are taking time out. I know we're all doing personal development. They are taking time out to be in a sense of being, to be grateful for what they've got, to have happiness with the family and time with the family and friends and communicate those sort of things as well. So go to the lowest level and then start working up from there. And that's probably one of the most important things. So, and as I said, gratitude is the best way to start that. And if you think about it, if you're in gratitude, you can't be angry. So if you've got negative thoughts, if you've got, my God, I can't pay this, I can't pay that, and I want to say woe is me, but I don't want to say the victim. I don't want to say the victim side, because there's times, yes, we're victims. There's also times where we get into overwhelm and go, holy cow, where's all this money going to come from? Take that moment. Remember that thought right then, you were the thinker of your thoughts. And all you need to do is step out, get into gratitude for 2 or 3 simple things. Because what you're doing is you're shifting your attention. And this is the next point that I want to talk about, is going, you are where your attention is. So wherever your attention is, you are exactly. So if you start thinking negative thoughts, if you start thinking, woe is me, you've got to shift your attention. And it's just as simple. People say, oh, do I need to go to positive affirmations or this? It's like, no, shift your attention. You might be driving along going, oh my God, I can't pay the bank accounts. And you look outside and you see a beautiful green park. Just have some gratitude. Go, wow, look at that. I've got the ability to see that beautiful green park, feel peaceful. You've shifted your attention. It doesn't need to be on the same subject. Just shift your attention. That will actually change the whole emotional state of what you do and start again. Okay, so get into that. The attention, going into habits. Look, there's a huge amount of stuff in habits as well. as I said, 95% of what you do is habit, right? And they also say that 95% of the words you say to yourself every day are the same words that you said to yourself the day before, the day before, the day before, the day before. So you think about it, only 5% of the words that you speak today are new that haven't been said to you before. So what words are you saying to yourself? Now, if you're in a great state and you're saying some really positive statements, you're doing all the right thing, that's fantastic. One of the things that's been really interesting is you hear about it takes 28 days to form a habit. Yes, it takes 28 days to form a habit. Research shows that it's 67 days that it takes to actually make that habit stick. So how many of you have done 28 days to form a habit and go, hey, yeah, cool, I'm in a habit now, and then you realize 3 months later that you forgot to do the rest of it? Right? So if you see a few smiles happening right there. So that's the thing is that when you get to 28 days, celebrate and celebrate well, but just remember you've formed the new habit. You actually haven't consolidated that into your mind. So I want to talk about that as we go into it. And I'm going to give you some exercises to do when we finish up today. As SJ said, is that this is months of stuff. So some of the things I'm actually going to give you quite a bit. Doesn't mean you have to do it all. You may resonate with some, you may resonate with others. It doesn't need to be done in a week. And if it's done in a week, it's just like doing a times table where I'm sitting there going 5 times 7, you go 35, right? Think about that as a good example is that if I don't know if in America that you are forced to learn your times tables, but I'm sure that in Australia here we go to 12 times 12 equals 144, and nearly anyone can rattle off the times table under that. But as soon as you jump up and go, hey, SJ, what's 16 times 17? She looks at me and goes, exactly, right? Because they didn't learn it. It was a habit that they forced you to learn. So you've got examples left, right, and center in your daily lives of habits that we have learned that whether service or not, if you want to know those numbers, calculators work really well as well. So what habits are you doing? What habits are you doing on a singular basis or every day? And this is the thing, when we try and change a habit, we actually try and use our left-sided brain and we try to use it like a sledgehammer to smash the hell out of it, right? Habits are formed in the right side of the brain, which is the creative side, and it's stuck and it's ingrained into our reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is where habits are formed and stay. But where we try and change it is up in the prefrontal cortex, which is our higher level thinking brain. So we're trying to actually use willpower and force a habit to change when it's in the wrong area. So this is why things like meditation, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, all these sort of things become very, very powerful because they take us to the right side of the brain. Right? Does anyone do any hypnosis, meditation, guided meditations? There are people out there, some of them nodding. So I'll give you a couple of links to look at and a couple of suggestions to talk about. But let's go into affirmations for a moment. Affirmations, and I had a real big clunk on this, and it was an affirmation. Whatever affirmation is, I'm wealthy, right? What do we usually do? We usually have a list of affirmations. We read it out and go, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm empathetic, I'm compassionate, and we say those words. That's left brain. It's very analytical thinking. What we have to do is that I'm sure people visualize, but the best way to actually get affirmations to work is to come up with a picture of what that affirmation looks like. So for me, there's one that says, I'm a master creator of wealth and money flows to me easily and effortlessly. So I had this clunk, and I've said this over and over and over again, but it's always felt like I've been belting my head against a brick wall. As soon as I said that, I changed the picture to this massive drain pipe coming down from above, and it bends at an angle, and there's just $100 bills just flowing out and just drowning. I won't say drowning me because I'm creating that. So it's just absolutely piling up around me. So when I say I'm a master creator of wealth, I say the words, but the visualization is right-brained, it's subconscious, and as a result of that, in the last few days, I've had all this money flowing to me. I've had people, I'm setting up some trust structures and funds that cost about $5,000 Australian, and it was gifted to me from my accountant. So all these things are happening. So be wary that when you get into that right-brained subconscious level, which is connecting yourself to the universe, you're going to see things happen at a magical rate. All right. So does everyone get what I said about creating a picture? So design a picture. What does healthy look like? What does wealthy look like? yes, we visualize. That's different. I'm just talking about how to get affirmations deeper into that subconscious at a lot faster rate. All right. So the stories. Actually, we're going to. I'll give you a list of questions that SJ just filled in on. I had a list of things. So this is so this is recorded, so you may need to. So the first question SJ had said about answering for identity is exactly the same one that I said, and that's who am I? All right. Now, I completely agree with what SJ said. She said, I don't want to hear about that I'm a chiropractor, or I'm a father, I'm a mother, or I'm a wife, or whatever it is, right? However, if you haven't done a lot of identity work, you may need to start there and allow the creative juices to start flowing. Right? So the end result is exactly what SJ said, but sometimes we get stuck because we don't know how to do it. So, who are you? What are you as a human being? So write down and write. And my suggestion is you will go through and start writing, and then you'll pause. You'll have a mental blank. Stay in the heat, because around about 30 seconds later, you'll start writing again. And you'll write and write and write, and that may last another minute, and then you'll have another blank. Stay in the heat, and then write again. By the third time, have a break and go on to the next question. So don't stop when you think you are done, because there's a lot more to come. And if you do that and stay in the heat that way, you're actually going to accelerate this whole process. So that's number one, as SJ said, who am I? The second one is this. So success is a matter of character, right? So this is why we want you to identify who you are. It's really, really important. So the second one is this: what makes me unique? Right now, if you're all building a business, if you're an IML and building a business, this is some of the stuff that you really need to start identifying. So what makes you unique, right? What do you love to do? Right. Third question is, what are the patterns of my life? So you're going to be writing some good stuff, but you're also probably going to be writing some pretty shitty stuff as well. Remember, no one else is going to see it. So the only person that you really need to be honest with is yourself. The best thing I can say is be completely in integrity with yourself. Be honest with yourself, because if you cheat yourself here, you're not going to get the answers you want to see. All right. So have a hard look at yourself. And this is also for people who've done a lot of work on themselves. They can really grow and expand at a much, much greater capacity as well. Number 4 is, what are my gifts? Right? What do I bring to this world? Right? And we all have gifts. And there's probably a couple of you already sitting there going, I don't know, I don't have any gifts. Right? So if that starts, start that, because that's the conversation you need to have with yourself. And like SJ said, if you really get stuck, ring a couple of great friends, because they'll be able to tell you. They'll be able to tell you your gifts, and they'll be able to rattle them off for ages. Right? And this is the most important thing. What are we doing? We want you to see the brilliance and magnificence in yourself. And it's the biggest thing. Self-esteem holds us all back. Go and speak to some friends who love you dearly. They will tell you what your gifts are, right? And be ready to be humbled, because sometimes you won't realize just how many gifts you give to the world. I nearly tear up on that one too, SJ. It's one of those ones that is amazing. Number 5, who can I trust? Right? Now, the reason why I say who can I trust is because building a team around you, you have a team. It's not all just yourself. There's always going to be someone that can add, that can help you, that can push you, can do those sort of things. So look, who can I trust? Right? If you have real difficulty, can you trust yourself? Can you trust yourself to go and do the job? And that gets back to, am I committed to being committed? Right? And it gets in that. So can you trust yourself, and who can I trust around me? Number 6 is, what is my message? What is my message? What am I here to say? Okay, now that people could be it's your mission or could be your purpose, but your message is only as valuable as the whole of you, and this is what we're trying to pull down. Right, so that's like your own brand. Okay, number 7 is, will I be wealthy? Now, I don't remember the exact question that SJ wrote down, is how much wealth I'm going to make or how much value. Will I be wealthy? Answer it, obviously and honestly at the start. Will I be wealthy? And if your first answer is going, no, I won't be, then this is a starting point. All we're doing is creating a starting point for you to actually start changing some of those stories, because by the time you get through this, you'll actually read stuff through and start having realizations. This is not a, will I be wealthy? No. Or will I be wealthy? Yes. What does it mean to you? What does wealth mean? All right. And there's 4 questions that I love asking at this point in this part. It says this: wealth is. Right? Write these words down. Wealth is. And then you describe what wealth means to you. Number 2 is wealth is not. So then you describe what wealth is not to you, right? The 4th question is this: I have the wealth I have because. So I'll say that again. I have the wealth I have because, and then you describe all the reasons why you have the current wealth you've got. And then the 4th one is this: I don't have the wealth I want because. Right? Now, those messages are pretty, I did that, and I wrote about 164 A4 pages on those 4 questions. So this is something that took me hours and hours and hours to do. So there can be a lot of writing in this, but this is the thing. You write down, because as you start writing, and I suggest using a pen rather than typing, because pen brings the kinesthetic awareness, brings in the touch because you're touching the paper, and you will actually get more into your subconscious by writing than typing. Okay, so that's just a suggestion, because you've got to use the kinesthetics with writing with the pen. So that's question 7 and those 4 in there. So there's a bit in that, right? And just remember, on that, identity governs value, right? And then value governs wealth. So your identity is going to govern your value, and your value is going to govern how much you're going to make at the other end, right? Whether that's wealth, whether that's health, whether that's finances, relationships, love, all that sort of stuff as well. That's number 7. Number 8, what will make my life matter? Right? What will make my life matter? Why are you really here to trade? Right? That's the big question. Why are you here to trade? Why are you here to build a big business? Why do you have the goal of saying, I want to earn $1 million a year, or I want to earn $1 million a month trading? Why are you doing it? What will make my life matter? What are you going to do with all that money? Right? And this is one of the biggest things ever, is saying that if money is your ultimate goal, you won't achieve as much success if you have something that is more worldly. So if it's like, I want to earn $1 million a year so that I can help build orphanages in Africa, or wells in Africa, or I want to go and set up my own health spa or health retreat to help people who are disadvantaged. So look at the big picture and know that the money that you're going to create is going to help you achieve that, whatever that is. Now, I remember listening to Grant Cardone. I don't know if anyone's heard it. And he had this great thing where he goes, he owns 5,000 or 500 investment properties, or 5,000 investments, something massive. And he said to me, and I'd always stuck with going, how can I bring owning investment properties into my big picture of helping and serving others? And he said something great. He goes, the more investment properties I own, the average family is 4 people. So the more investment properties I own, the more I'm helping 20,000 people to have a roof over their head. Right? And he reframed the whole value of going, so he's building investment properties, but he's seeing a big picture to go, there's a lot of people that need rental properties. And I just really resonated with that side, going, he sees a bigger picture, because you look at this in Australia, and I'm not sure what it's like in America at the moment. Melbourne is massive, massive demand for rental properties. There's just nothing there. So there's the reframing. What am I going to do that's going to make my life matter? So that's that question. Number 9 is, what is your level of self-esteem? This is a tough one. Right, but be honest with yourself and start working through. So those are the 9 questions there, and then that gets into your stories. That gets into a lot of your beliefs and perceptions as well. SJ, how am I for time? Nearly ready? Okay, cool. That's all right. I thought you said I had 9 hours.
I wish. Probably another 10, 15, just so.
Yeah, no, that's right, because I know it's getting late over in America. So. Think about the stories. Go and think about the stories. And there's one story that I'll give you to think about is Muhammad Ali. His story was, I'm the greatest fighter who ever lived. Right? So think about that. That's his story. Now, we can agree or disagree, and we say, oh, there's better fighters now. But go back to his belief, right? And his story. His story was, I am the greatest fighter that ever lived. And he used that story to train hard, to fight, to stay persistent. So what are the stories are you saying to yourself? Can you say, well, at this level, go, I'm the greatest investor that ever lived. Now people go, oh, come on, now Warren Buffett's the best and all that sort of stuff as well. That's okay. But what story are you saying about it for yourself? Right? What story are you starting to create? And then there are people out there that when I said, I'm the greatest investor in IML, they go, oh, no way, I couldn't do that. Okay, so there's a story. There's already a belief system that you're shooting yourself in the foot with. So really get and understand that the stories that you create are for you. And the reality is that what I think of you is none of my business. Sorry, what I think of you is none of your business, and what you think of me is none of my business. Now, what does that mean? That means go out there and create your life the way you want. Go and create it so that you can do, be, and have everything that you want. So going into that, we all are in IML, we're all in trading. Who can remember back to the time when if someone said, I just had 100 pip loss, right? Or 100 pip gain. And you look around and go, what the fuck's a pip? Right? Who remembers that time? It could be years ago, it could be last week. Right? Who remembers that time, right? So, but now you're all probably laughing and going, I know what a pip is. Not only do I know what a pip is, I've actually traded thousands and I'm way ahead, right? So we've got stories that we can actually relate to. Now, we didn't learn about pips when we were 2 years old or 3 years old. Some of us, I'm 46 this year. I learned about a pip a year ago, right? And now, as a result of that, I'm changing my stories. So the story is going, are you a $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year investor? Are you a $50,000 a year investor? People who have just started, have you actually set a goal? And what are you doing to create that story that you own it, right? And that's the subconscious belief system. So like Ali said, I'm the greatest fighter who ever lived. What story are you going to create that is so powerful that it's going to drive you to keep going? All right. So, look, this is the big one, and then I'll get on to a couple of little bits of homework. Talk about death. In the last 10 days, the program I've been doing has talked about death and accepting death. Now, there's that joke that goes around and says, there's only two sure things in life, and that's death and taxes. The reality is it's only death, because there's so many people avoiding taxes, and they can run away to the Canary Islands and the Cayman Islands and set up all their tax breath shelters and all that sort of stuff as well. So we've been really, really challenged, and I'm still working through this. So please don't think that I've suddenly accepted my mortality and I'm ready to go. Hey, take me when I'm ready. But this is the message. If you understand, I saw a little cartoon on was it Snoopy and Charlie Brown? And Charlie Brown says, one day we're going to die, Snoopy. And Snoopy turns around and he says, yeah, but every other day we're going to be alive, so live it. Right? And what he's saying is this, is that we fear death. And do I still have fear? Yes. But we're going to die. We're going to die. But if we're living in that fear, then we are going to hold ourselves back. And it's one of those big questions. It's a really challenging question. I'm not going to go into too deep about it, but start sitting from the side of going, we don't know when our time's up. We don't know whether it's today, tomorrow, a year, 10 years, 50 years. And if we have that ability to understand that mortality is something that, from shamanistic points of view, if we're all energy and energy just transfers matter, then do we die this human death, or do we stay alive in this universe? And that's a really, really big question to contemplate. Why does that fit in? Because if we start to accept that, then life changes. And life changes to say, yeah, how much time have we got here, and how do we want to live it? And SJ said it beautifully before about when she just referred saying, look at what you're creating for the future, or whatever you're doing now is a result of what you've done in the past. So if your results are not happy with, then you've got to start looking at something different. So here's some challenge for you. Answer those questions that SJ and I've got you to write out. Silence. Here's my challenge. Go and do 4 hours of silence somewhere where you don't have a phone, you don't write, you don't watch a movie, you can't use I'm going to sleep, so that's 8 hours of silence. You've got to sit in silence, right? Take a notepad with you, but you are not allowed to talk. So not even if the dog jumps on your lap, you're not allowed to say, hey, jump off, move away, sunshine, or whatever it be. So have 4 hours of silence and let the silence take you, right? If you need to write down, if you have an aha moment, don't jump out and talk about it, because silence will get you into that subconscious right brain really, really quickly, and things will come up. Write notes by all means, but it's a real challenge, and it's something that's really, really important. That's number one. I recommend a couple of books. There's a great book called Dollars Flow to Me Easily by, can't remember his first name, his surname's Dodds. It's all about mindset and it's all about subconscious programming. It's a brilliant book. So if you want to get into reading, it's on Audible, and it's also downloadable on iBooks or Kindle. Florence Scovel Shin, or Scovel Shin, is someone to listen to from a subconscious bearing and listening as well. And here's another thing. There's a mirror exercise that I'm going to challenge you to do, because this will challenge to see where your identity is on yourself and self-esteem. Go and stand in front of the mirror. This is up to you. If you want to do it naked, do it naked. You don't have to. It challenges you even further. But stand in front of the mirror, and the person that is looking back at you is your higher self, right? It's your subconscious and it's your higher self. So every reaction, every blink, every movement that mirror reflection does with you is not you, it's your higher self. Stand there and listen. Stand there and listen to what it says to you. Now, I'll share what happened to me. I've done some mirror work before. I integrated a few of these things and had a really powerful moment. And this was about 18 months ago. Really shocked me and surprised me. But this is what I did. I stood in front of the mirror. I was looking at it, and I was really starting to cry. And I looked into the mirror, and it was an angry look back at me. And I said these 3 words. The 3 words are the 3 words that are really hard to say to relationships and all that. And I said, I love you. And I looked into my eyes and I said, I love you. And the response came back, really hit me hard between the eyes. And this was a self-esteem thing. And it says, excuse my language, it says, I fucking hate you. Right? And that's what I said back to myself. And in that moment, I just bawled my eyes out. I was like, wow, this is my subconscious thoughts about me right now. And I started crying, and I said it once more. I said, I love you. I won't say the second swear word because it's just too vulgar. But it says, I fucking hate you. You're a fucking, and I won't say the C word, but that's what it said to me. Right? And it was really angry, really, really angry. And I dropped, but as I dropped and fell to the ground, as I was falling, the next couple words came out of my mouth, changed my life ever. And I just looked into my eyes and I said, I'm sorry. And in that moment, I experienced complete forgiveness that I'd never, ever experienced in my life before, because I realized that at 46 or 45, I'd never, ever apologized to myself for doing anything. Now, the depth of this is an easy example. You're walking along the street and you bump a stranger. What do? Sorry, mate. Oh, sorry to bump you. You know, if I knocked SJ's drink, if we were out having dinner with a group of people, I go, oh, sorry, SJ, I'll go and buy you another drink because I spilled it, right? How quickly do we apologize to others? But how quickly do we berate ourselves and beat ourselves up? So you think about it, you're sitting at dinner, you knock a fork off the table, and you stand there and go, you fuckwit, you just dropped the fork. Everyone's going to judge you and think you're a dickhead, you're clumsy and all this sort of stuff. All this is going on in the mind. No one saw you drop the fork, but you beat yourself up for the next 5 minutes, right? So you don't even apologize. It was the first time I apologized to myself. So this is what I say to you. Stand there, look and listen and stay in silence. Then say those words, I love you. Now, it might come back and go, hey, I love you too. Great. But you don't know what comes out. And if it's emotional, get in and say, I'm sorry. Because what is this doing? This is getting into some belief systems that are really, really deep. So I'm going to end on that note. Just remember, go back to, this is the one thing that I said last time, you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts. And if you can step away from that and start to change that, hypnosis, doing some work, mirror work, and those type of right brain things are going to change you and change you dramatically. Thank you, SJ.
Oh.
That's better. Yep, gotcha.
I always do that. Thank you so much, Clinton. I know I've had a few DMs from people on the call saying that they are learning so much. That mirror work, you really got me in the feels there, because I have done that, and it is extremely, extremely confronting to do, but it is so powerful. Because, guys, you got to remember that we can have everyone around us, but at the end of the day, we only have ourselves. You know, we are with ourselves every single day. And if you can't learn to love yourself and respect yourself and give yourself everything that you actually really do deserve, I that's a really sad way to live. And I'm a bit sad about that, but nonetheless, like, this call was freaking epic. Thank you all so much for getting on. We really, really appreciate your time. This will be like even though this is part 2, it is one of many calls Clinton and I are going to be doing together. So I look forward to doing the next one, whenever that is. It is not scheduled. We'll probably just link up together and do some, and I'll invite you all on. But thank you all so much. Thank you again, Clinton. Thank you, Ho. Yeah, really appreciate every single one of you. Have a blessed night. Please do the exercises and the questions we've given you. We don't do this for any other reason than to help you. All right, so have an awesome night, and we'll be in touch soon.